All right, welcome to another episode from the Chart Reader. So this one's going to be an interesting one because there are a lot of stocks people are asking me to cover. I'm going to try to cover three sectors on this video. We're going to do AI, we're going to look at BBAI, Bullfrog, and Guard Force. We're going to look at robotics, we'll look at RR and SERV, and then we will look at quantum with at least RGTI, maybe another one or two in there. All right, so hopefully I'm not being over ambitious here, but yeah, that's the goal here. All right. BBAI, look, obviously it's been a real interesting run. RSI is pushing 80, and you know I at least have to sound the alarm bell around an 80 RSI, but my goodness, look at that volume, right? Normally I would be saying, we're kind of decreasing a little bit like that, but these are just new, crazy, all-time high numbers. We've never had any volume near any of these, right? So we're doing a good job sustaining this big volume, and really, I think that's the main focus. But hey, look, you go away from the 8, you can come back all the way to it, or hey, maybe you're going to stay horizontal to it, right? And we didn't quite get over that resistance line. We're at least over this one. There are some lines on the way down that could bring some relatively bad double digit losses if it happens. Otherwise, hey, this is a decent uptrend, and you know the MACD and volume are at least there, right? So this one's an interesting one right here to talk about for sure. All right. No, Bullfrog AI. This is the one that I was excited about over the weekend. Clearly delivered with what at some points were, I think, around 42% gain. So monster move, right? And you hear me say it all the time. It sounds like a funny rhyme, but hey, I'm here making things sound simple for a reason, all right? You break all five and you fly. This was trying to, breaks all five and flies, right? So interesting candle to say the least. Definitely gave up a lot, but really what BBAI does will probably dictate what Bullfrog does, right, which we're talking about here, as well as the other one, which is Guard Force AI. That's an interesting candle right there. You know, I wanted to get over all the moving averages and go, but yeah, this one held, I would easily say, better than the other two, right? So what are you going to focus on more? The hold of the candle, the break of the moving averages, etc., right? So that's going to be the three in the AI. I'll talk robotics with RR. Man, this gave up a lot more than I was expecting it to. I really wasn't expecting this doji right here. It looked like we were trying to get over. It looked like we were trying to confirm. We couldn't quite get over that candle. I would have really liked to get over that candle at least. But hey, look, I mean, this is been fighting the 8 and the 20 for a bit now, right? We were basically living with the two of them, went obviously below it, and now kind of living with them again, right? So it's trying, it's just, man. And again, this day, it was an interesting turnaround, right? Because you can see the 10th started well, but then obviously closed down here, right? So RR a little disappointing, but I would say at least SERV did look a little bit better. SERV with that nice candle yesterday. I would have liked a stronger confirmation. The one thing I'm curious about, I like that. So look, this candle opens at 2090. We close over that. So we are at least into this candle. Hopefully we can ride it on up. I'd be looking for around 2190 tomorrow. That would be a great number for tomorrow, okay? And then we'll wind it out with Regati. Listen, I am for sure still watching the quantum stocks, all right? It obviously wasn't this run that it was not a couple months ago, right? There's been a really interesting 2-week horizontal. And hey, I don't know if you just watched my last video or not, but Cooler was basically in a 5-week horizontal before we finally got the first real good candle, right? So by no means am I really trying to compare the two, but hey, we are again. Soundhound was another one, right? I don't have to show it, you believe me, right? And I'll do it in the deeper thoughts, but we're starting to see maybe more of a theme of these just strings of doji candles, and really you just got to wait for that one real candle that confirms the truth, and then you attack if it's good, or you avoid the avalanche if it's bad, right? So right now this thing is just sitting and waiting, right? So If I have if I have time, I'll cover a couple more in this, but really in my eyes, it seems like where Rigotti goes, the rest will follow, right? So, yeah, I normally don't do several sectors in a video. I'm just trying to catch up a little bit because I was lagging on the last 2 weeks. So, before we do go any further and I give you more of my thoughts and opinions, what are we going to do? Same thing we always do, right? We'll take a look at the daily and the weekly to see how these things are setting up short term. We have our 5 moving averages. There are horizontal. Nope, I messed that up. These are the 5 moving averages, and then these are the horizontal support and resistance lines that I do draw manually myself. Whoopsies. And then when we are done up here, we'll use the MACD, RSI, and volume as our lower indicators. Hey, really quickly, if you can, please subscribe to this channel. Share this video online with your friends. Comment good or bad if you disagree. Look, anything you can do helps so much with these YouTube algorithms, but for real, just being here, giving me your time, oh, I'm so grateful for it, all right? So I'm going to talk about BBAI the most if I had to guess, and really, I'm assuming the other two are going to really dictate what is done based on BBAI. All right, I almost said that backwards. I try to correct myself as best as I can, but what BBAI does tomorrow, and I think mainly with volume, maybe with candle too, but this will determine how those others do. All right, that's my working assumption on these three. Okay, so look, we have seen a big candle, we have seen a decent hold, and then a real good candle after. That's basically what we have again in this back to back. We have a real good candle, we have a decent hold. Are we going to see one more boom that takes us over the next moving average line, which is at 918, which is basically the IPO line, right? Or are we going to basically make our way back down to this resistance line and ultimately back down towards the 8 moving average that's obviously moving up, right? I think what I would do is basically use this and kind of say, hey, look, I can see us coming down. I would even say as low as 8 flat. I'm clicking at 805 right now, but I can see BBAI coming to $8. All right. If we hold $8, I think I'd be comfortable. All right. Roughly speaking, that $8 is basically the same amount we lost on this big one right there, right? I think if we lose 8, it will be a very fast drop to 760. And realistically, it might actually be a very fast drop down to 7 flat. All right. So I for sure don't want to lose 8. I'd be relatively comfortable if that's where we came down, right? I don't know the math behind the moving averages, you know that, right? But if I had to guess, because that's a pretty exponential up right there, I think this 8 moving average is going to actually get pretty close to this line right here. So I think this 7 line is going to get stronger and stronger as the 8 gets there. Only problem is we were basically at 9 and falling from 9 to 7. Oh man, that's a 20% drop right there. That's actually more, right? You're losing more than $2 right there. So watch how we hold this. What day was this? Friday, the 7th candle. That's going to be really important. The other thing really is volume. Look, I've been saying as long as we can hold up here, that's good, because otherwise the reality would be we would basically fall to down here around 100. We would go from all the way up here at 250 to all the way down here at 100, basically giving up 66% of the volume. And that's not what we want to see. That is what pump and dump looks like. Instead, we are very nicely sustaining this new world order of 150, 180, 200 million shares, right? So what I'm basically looking for is either 250 shares tomorrow or maybe back down to like 150. If I had to guess, I want more. Obviously, you give me that surge of volume that I need, we'll take out the IPO line, I think. Okay. If we don't, like I said, I think that's where we'll start thinking about 768 bucks. Okay. I'm going to talk about it one more time because I did mention it, but I glazed over it. This is a hard line, this 980. All right. Obviously, I see a lot of green, 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 and red, 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 and it's real easy to say green, green, green if we get over this. This is the IPO line. right? This is the first line. You can see how long it was horizontal for. Literally 3, 6 for 9 months. It was horizontal right there at basically 980, roughly $10, right? So that's a hard line. Let's see if we can get to it, let alone beat it. Volume's going to dictate it, right? So what BBAI does, nice, our outside kitty is here. I didn't see him this morning and I got nervous. What BBAI does should dictate what Bullfrog and what Guard Force do. Okay, I think obviously it's real easy to look at this wick. I don't think that's a good wick. Shooting star. Give me a second. Where's my name? Shooting star seems to be the name. This. I don't think we like it because it looks like a shooting star, and generally shooting stars bring you, excuse me, downtrends. That's at least based on this right here. I think the interesting opposite side of it is, look, hey, that's still a healthy RSI. That's obviously a really nice volume. It's still arguably pump and dump volume, and we'll get to that later, right? And hey, we at least a couple pennies got over the resistance line right there, right? So the wick and the shooting star potential is definitely not a good thing. And you can see, oh, it doesn't really show it that well. Generally, when you add a gap up to that one, it makes it a little more dangerous too, right? But there's a couple things that are showing it as a relatively okay thing, all right? What is going to really matter is probably this line right here. Yeah, I think it's around here. That's maybe a little too high. Where are you at? 70. Where are you at? I think it's this. Look, we at least need to close at 365 tomorrow. I think anything below a close of 365 would be worrisome. All right, because just you can see it. There's not a lot between here and here. It just is red, 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 green, 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 red, 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 green, green, red, 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 green, green, red, red, like that. That's all this is, right? And if we lose this line, I could see it being a real fast drop to maybe a flat 3. That's basically a 10% loss from right there, right? So we're looking for those up to, and again, if BBAI does well, I think there's a small chance that that Bullfrog can do well as well. I think this one has become the number 2 with Guard Force being the number 3, and maybe there's enough love for the first one, BBAI, and this one to do well, right? But if BBAI does not do well, again, it's a double-edged sword. There's no guarantee with it, but either this will do exceptionally well because all of that volume will rush here, basically like we saw today. Look, BBAI was flat today, right? So, I mean, where this did nothing, the other one was able to do, like I said, at one point, 40% gains, right? So if the other one does nothing, again, I could see this doing well again, right? But at the double-edged sword, if BBAI does nothing, this could do bad too, right? So very much a more 50-50 stock than ideal. A couple things saying good, candle pattern saying bad. Just really watch how it reacts to this 334 is, I think, the main thoughts, all right? Last one is Guard Force AI. You know, the funny thing is I accidentally covered this one as well because I kept mixing up Guard Force and Bullfrog, right? But again, when you missed the first one, which was Soundhound, you got to look for the second one, which was BBAI. If you've missed both of them, don't get sad, don't get frustrated, don't get mad. Look for number 3 and 4, right? And that's what we're doing here. Big 14% candle. Really, I think it's the same thought I said last time. I would love this a lot closer to 193. I think, let me just zoom out. Let's see if there's something out there really isn't. 193. If I don't have an alert, I'll do it right now. 192. That's fine. I think that's really what I'm going to be looking for. If we can get over that, I mean, you can see it. 270 is the next line up with a beautiful red, 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 green, green, green. And just like Bullfrog, we would be hunting break all 5 and fly, right? This one has not quite done it. It's tried but couldn't. Hopefully try one more, right? So I think that's a decent review of these 3. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Let's take a look at RR and SERV. Look, I'm going to start with SERV because I do think SERV looks better than the 2 of them, right? You can easily see that SERV was at least able to hold the golden line. Hopefully can go above it and on. And you can see above it and on actually is all-time highs, right? So 200 moving average is just formed, but hey, luckily and lovely, it's formed down here and we're still overall 5, right? When we look at RR, do I have a golden line on this one? I don't. We're not really near it just yet. So RR still actually hasn't even gotten over the IPO moment yet, right? So that alone is a pretty big difference between RR and SERV, in all honesty, right? But yeah, basically I think I said it in the opening thoughts. We gave up a lot more today than I expected. That was a pretty decent 1-2, not fantastic 1-2, but a pretty decent attempt to break all five and fly, right? We're still over all five, but I think now we just see a little bit more of holding these two moving averages. I think the one thing I'm seeing is a bit of an improvement in volume. We just need a spike up here in that like 40 something million shares for RR, right? So I'll do some quick math. 45 million divided by 7 hours. If we can get a little closer to 7 million shares per hour, I think RR will be in a good place. Otherwise, it does seem like SERV might be taking some of that momentum from RR. And really, I said it in the opening thoughts, I like the fact that this one closed down here and we closed a couple pennies above it, right? We are in this candle right now, right? There is nothing else up here that's real, right? So hopefully we can just green, green, green all the way to all-time highs and beyond, right? Good lower indicators down here. Actually, you can see that 50-day line's going up, and it's been doing a pretty good job of hitting it, except for that last little window right there, right? So, yeah, on the way down, hopefully we don't go any lower than $20.40. If we do, we might come back down to this 1860, 1880. I can see something around there, all right? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Last thing I want to look at is the quant sector. And look, I for sure have not forgotten about this at all right? I just know that the moving averages and the technicals and this very, very hard volume drop are telling me no, 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 not just yet. All right. And look, I say it all the time. I'm not here to fall in love with a stock. I'm not here to fall in love with the sector. I'm here to follow the volume, follow the momentum, and attack when it's good or avoid the avalanche when it's bad. Okay. I think the crazy thing is, and I mean crazy in a good way, green, green, green has not turned into red, red, red. All right. We are staying horizontally. And like I said in the opening thoughts, this seems like a new theme going on these silly little tickers that I regularly cover, right? I think the one thing, and I feel a little bad that I waited till the end to show this, but NASDAQ has actually been a little choppy, right? And I think we're waiting for NASDAQ to do better things. Hey, at the minimum, it's still over the golden line, and really it's still over the moving averages. It's actually holding that 50 MA. Like, there's actually more good than bad to say about this NASDAQ, but I mean, you can see it. It's just basically staying horizontal right here, right? And yeah, it needs a little bit more. I think if this can do a little bit more, maybe that's what's going to help Rigotti. I think the other thing that's happening is look at how many sectors I've covered, right? There are other hot tech sectors starting to pick up, and when one was arguably the number one for so long, and all of a sudden you start to fall. Oh man, it impacts generally with the red, red, red down. And that's why I keep saying, hey, horizontal's not bad right now. But I think more things are saying this wants to come to 10 than it does 20 until I see a truth candle, right? The biggest and loudest thing to me is the volume. All right, look, I'm glad we're not coming back to down here where we were before the spike, right? But it feels like the days of the 230, 250, 200 whatever million shares per day are gone. I don't know if we're now in this 100 million, sub 100 million, right? But I would be afraid that volume drops to 38, 40 million shares. If this thing drops to 40 million shares, it's going to be hard to hold moving averages, right? So a lot of it is really volume heavy. And obviously you can see we just need to break out of this doji cluster, right? So I'll look at a couple more. IONQ, you can see the exact same thing. You can maybe say this one's a little better. I see the exact same thing, right? QBTS, exact same thing, right? QUBT, exact same thing, arguably a little bit worse and more of a drop, right? So again, I'm still watching the quantum stocks. I'm waiting for it to do what it did before. I'm not here assuming it's going to do it. I'm not here expecting it's going to do it. But believe me, the lines will break and things will show that it's going to come again if it does, all right? Let me know your thoughts. Let me know your opinions, even if you disagree. Oh, I appreciate you so, so much.